Attention everybody, the views and opinions expressed on this show are not necessarily those of Acts Ministry, Acts Media Group, and or their affiliate and subordinate ministries and or nonprofits. Sorry, you can move it all you want. We're not even on camera yet, but they can hear us.
I couldn't see her.
Oh.
I could see her hair.
Can't see the booler. Here we go. Good morning. Coming to you live from Acts Media Group headquarters here in beautiful Springfield, Missouri. It's the Morning Drive with Matt and Jay. We're the hosts, Matt and Jay. We got Steve in the Peanut Gallery back there having a good old time. And next to me, we got Scooter Herland. Scooter Herland. That's how we say it. And his lovely wife, my sister-in-law, Marcia Herland. It's Holland, but, you know.
It's the booler.
The booler. Booler. I was just telling Jay about our brother in the mornings and evenings and stuff.
Across the field.
Yeah.
We'll have to think up a name for Jay.
A lot of people post.
Jailer.
Jailer, yes.
Jailer.
There we go. We seem
A lot of people posted what?
A lot of people posted this morning because our live video post was a little ways down on the.
Really?
Yeah.
So good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Morning Drive with Matt and Jay. My name is Matt.
My name is Jay.
My name's Marcia.
My name's Scott.
We're glad to have everyone. Oh, and
You know, the
Down
translator said.
And I am Steve in the
All right.
Peanut Gallery.
The translator said, "How is the Buddha?"
The Buddha.
instead of Bula.
Buddha.
Booler.
Yeah, that's it.
We should just try and mess with the. That's what we should spend this whole entire time just trying to mess with the auto closed captioning.
Oh.
I gotta pull this up here. So we're glad to have you guys on board with us. Finally,
Thank you.
we're glad to see you. Well, I mean, you guys run a recovery ministry, so your schedule is up for change at any moment.
That's right.
That is correct.
Today
Anything
is
can happen.
recovery do's and don'ts, and I should say recovery ministry do's and don'ts. Because I mean, you've had to learn a lot of
both.
stuff. Yeah, you've had to learn a lot of stuff on the fly.
Yes.
And sometimes on the bee because it stings. I'm using a lot of weird analogies today, so I apologize beforehand. And we'll get into that here in just a few minutes. But I will tell you what you should do. Steve, you know what we should do?
What?
You know what you guys should do?
What should we
Go to
do?
Branson and check out Steamy Joe Cafe on 224 West Main Street in Branson, Missouri. That number is 417-320-3046. They've got the most amazing brownies, the most amazing cinnamon rolls, the most amazing carrot cake with pecans.
Oh, wow.
They've got great pies. Speaking of which, now until tomorrow's the last day for this week's Morning Drive special. That's buy one, get one free. Piece of pie.
They may
do
extend
do
that,
they just...
Matt.
They may extend it. Why, are they getting rid of a lot of pie that way?
Yes.
Really?
Wow. Do they do...
awesome.
Is it breakfast and brunch, or are they a full...
They do breakfast, lunch. Yeah, they close at 4. What time do they open?
7 a.m. to 4 p.m.
So they're open 8 hours a day,
Okay.
Monday through Saturday.
Monday through Saturday, and they close Sunday because they go to church, right?
Right.
And
Well,
that's
we'll
at
try that
224
out.
West Main Street. Little yellow house on the hill there in Branson, Missouri.
If I go down there, they might not extend it because there won't be nothing left of the pie.
Well, yeah.
You remember that? Let's see.
Pies.
So my
Because
birthday is
pies
coming
eat.
up tomorrow.
Lordy, brother.
And it's reminding me of, I think it was my 15th birthday party, or maybe my 13th. No, it was my 15th birthday party. And we were meeting.
You can remember that far back?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You can never.
That was a long
Yeah, you know-
time ago.
So that's back whenever at a particular restaurant. It rhymes with.
It's like half a lifetime ago.
It kind of rhymes with the word sack, but it has a big word in front of it. Right, and they were $1 at this particular fast food restaurant, which has been around for years and years and years and years.
Gunny?
Got it.
Gunny sack?
Yeah, it kind of like rhymes with gunny sack, but it put the word big in front of that.
Big sack.
Yeah, big sack.
Big sack attack.
Well, speaking of it,
Is that a real place?
he went up there and he said, because we was looking at what we were going to eat, and there was a bunch of us there. So he ordered 24 of them. And they looked at him, and they said, "You're joking, right?" He goes, "No." Because they were $1 a piece.
They all just
That was
stopped.
enough for 5 of them a piece.
They turned around and
5.
they looked at me, and then after I ordered that, I said, "Can I have a large drink to go with that?" And
Oh.
And then they got it all put together, and he asked, "They go, didn't? Now these don't have pickles on them, right?"
Oh, you,
Yeah.
And then he
you're the
goes,
man.
"Now I'm joking." So, and he wolfed down 5 of those things in like. I've watched this guy drink. What are those big cartons of eggnog? You know, I don't. They're a pint? No,
A quart.
a
Yeah.
quart.
you know,
Down. I got myself one, and he got one, and we weren't in the car for 2 minutes, and he chugged it. He chugged the whole entire thing
Oh
down.
my
'cause
gosh,
it's
I
good.
cannot stand
And
it.
he made and this is the noise he made as he did it. But every time he's, and then he's like,
He was really loving that eggnog. Yum.
now I didn't feel good
I
afterwards,
was
but
gonna
yes,
say
I
that's
did.
some
I
serious
bet not.
eggnog.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I can't stand
now,
that.
yeah,
eggnog.
and they probably serve eggnog during Christmas time up at Steamy Joe, don't they?
They haven't been open up to Christmas. Before
Hopefully they'll have some hot wassail.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's
go
what
to Steamy
that's
Joe
what I'm
Cafe.
assuming. That's a good question. I'm gonna find that out today.
Well, wassail is a good classic drink. You know what wassail is, or wassail?
Wassail.
Well, I call it wassail.
We had wassail. Remember, we had wassail candles.
See, I don't remember those. I remember my favorite one was the
And
pine,
they
the pine tree
sold
ones.
big time.
And then they had the what do you call those things? The diffuser, essentially. Because I remember you gave me one for my birthday or for Christmas one year because you knew my favorite.
Yes.
My favorite scent was the pine forest one,
Yep.
or the woods one, and you were discontinuing that.
Mhm.
So you gave me a big old jar of just the scent, and like one of those. It looked like a little barn, and the tin came off of the. It was like a tin thing,
Yeah.
and there was a little heated fan built into it that blew out behind it, and
Yeah, it had little
you
windows
put the
in
jar
it.
in there, put the jar of the scent in there, and you put this felt wick in there,
Mm-hmm.
and you turn it on, and it blows a gentle warming scent
Scent.
through
Oh,
the whole
wow.
house. It was amazing. It was amazing. But yeah, that was my favorite, and then they discontinued it. Second favorite was mulberry.
Oh yeah.
We're
mulberry was big.
considering doing candles.
Yeah. But right now, you guys are currently Clean Sweep Ministries.
Correct.
You have a home for women in the throes of addiction.
Yes, and we're actually housing women that have been caught up in trafficking now.
Oh.
We joined up with Nightlife International. They're a worldwide national organization that help women in trafficking.
Are they the ones that put the signs, the stickers up in the bathrooms everywhere?
I'm not quite sure about that. I know that they have several offices throughout the world, and they're currently connected. I connected with them here in Springfield, so
Nice.
and they do a lot of, the Philippines, and they do a lot of missions.
There's
They
a
go
lot of
traffic-
children and women coming across the border from Mexico
Yes.
that are being kidnapped, and
Yes.
they're non-documented, so nobody really knows
Yes.
they're gone.
That's correct.
That's another reason for getting documented on your way in, because then your people know where you're at.
Yes.
But yeah, and it's terrible that happens. in
That's
the
one of
world.
my problems with the whole wall and everything is that, if somebody's leaving knowing they're facing that, what are they leaving?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, and one of the I will say that part of our ministry has been very challenging, especially the brokenness and the things that they face.
So you've already received some people.
Yes, we currently have a young lady in our home at this time.
That's horrible.
Yes, and I had interviewed and met with one female and she was afraid to actually come into our program
Hmm.
because of because of it.
She's probably
Yeah.
afraid of everything.
Yes, yes, they're afraid that their trafficker will find them. They use other women to help locate the women that have had the opportunity to escape from the traffickers.
The worst thing about it too is, especially with the young, is that they start to see life to see life that way.
Right.
So they don't have any other way of seeing life.
Correct.
So really, they might go out of the frying pan into the fire and think the fire's better because maybe the frying pan they were in, you know what I mean, had something much more specifically damaging to them. You know, where they felt it more, although they
Morning,
really,
Steve Schultz.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they don't have the experience to know what life could or should be. They
Yeah.
just know that, well, this feels a little better.
A lot of the trucking companies now are actually doing training courses on how to spot it, how to
Right.
see it, what the signs to look for. There's brochures in the truck stops
Yes.
you can read. It shows all the signs of, you know, I mean, all the way down to the expressions on their faces. And
Yeah.
And if I can be kind of raw and just give you an idea, and I think that everybody should know and maybe take a class to learn to recognize it. But these women, when they're brought into captivity or repeatedly raped, they are given high amounts of dose of drugs, and they are physically abused until they're broken, and that they will be. That is what causes them to be.
I mean, it's sad that a high
and-
amount of drugs is a mercy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and they
Yeah.
are starved to death. They're sometimes shackled, and
The temperature in this room has raised because all of us are men that
yes,
take that very. I mean, and women and a woman. I mean, whenever you think about it, they get.
and
We know what Jay's opinion is on it too.
and I
they have discovered, I mean, it's like you're taking a walk through the woods, okay, just enjoying nature. And then you come upon something that don't look right, and it's cages in the woods.
With people in them.
Yes.
females kept in
Yes.
cages.
Well, they have males too.
Yes,
Like
they-
boys.
Yes, it is on the rise for young men, or on the rise. I would really like to share, Scott and I. We have spent many times just talking. You have to look at our world and where our world is going to, the sin, and someone may not may have a hard time when I say this, but every trafficker has some sort of thing that they have been either physically abused or abused themselves. Every pedophile, every person that would cause harm to another human or a child has had something horrible happen to them that they feel that they need to cause pain to other humans. And
We'll let God sort them out.
yes, we.
Sorry, I'm just remember what you said about
You
it.
know, I'm sorry, that's not an excuse because of all of those, there are many more who
Yes.
didn't choose that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I probably sit on this panel a little different because the fact I'm involved in the hurt. And one of the main things for us is we teach our women that are caught up in trafficking how to forgive. They
Yeah,
have
well,
to
they do have
forgive.
to learn that, yeah.
That we have to teach them the process of forgiving their abuser so that they can move past for healing. Because fear keeps them incapacitated in their mind.
There's a woman in Arizona, and it was in the desert. She was taken, I think, at the age of 10 or 11, and these people lived way out in the desert. I mean, it's one of them places where you don't even know it's there. I mean, people just don't go
You
by
walk
there.
right by it and
Right.
not see anything.
She was put in a cage in a basement for 25 years. And she freed. She finally got herself free. She didn't know who her family was. She didn't know anything.
And it's very important that people learn to recognize, something out of the ordinary. It's okay to question things. If we see a female or a child, it's okay we need to observe those things.
We
What
act-
signs would you look for? What would be something that would be a
Okay.
red light or alarm?
I'll give you for instance. We had went to Kansas City to pick a friend up at the airport. Okay, we got a motel room the night before, so I was standing outside the motel. I guess it wasn't in the evening,
It was.
and I was standing outside the motel, and I had the door open a little bit, and I seen a person drop a woman off, and she went over to one of the rooms down, and he sat there, and she was in there, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes. She come back out, but when she walked by, because I told Marcia, I said, hey, come here for a minute. When she walked by me and Marcia, she was talking with her eyes, basically. She looked at us with this look that was just broken
Pleading
and
for help.
sadnesses, yes. And then she went back to the car, and then the car pulled in. Later, dropped her off again, and then that next morning we was getting ready to leave, and she was getting back into the car with this guy, and the guy, I mean, it was there. You knew.
A lot of times they will brand the women. There'll be tattoos on the back of their neck. There'll be tattoos on their wrist. They have a marking just like you would if you had a ranch and you branded your
Morning, Larry.
cattle, so that you would recognize them. These women also are branded. They're tormented enough that they submit, and
Or they're seeking something better. Because I've heard of women who, grow up in a home where from childhood before they can even remember are raped at night by a family
Oh,
member.
real quick, for those of you watching, if you haven't already noticed, let your children watch this at your own discretion.
Correct.
This is adult content right now. I'm not talking about perverted adult content. This is adult. It's a very adult subject. And I think that children also do need to be educated in that, like, say no to strangers type of deal.
yes. Yes.
So definitely this should be watched under parental guidance. So that way if they have any questions about it, you can answer it for them. Or if you don't want them to see it at all, we'll understand. But this is some pretty heavy stuff we're talking about today. And it needs to be talked about because that's not something people really think about.
No.
They don't think about the people that are in sexual bondage, forced
Yes.
bondage like that.
Well, some it's voluntary, like I was describing. Some, like somebody who grows up in a home where they're being molested by a family member every night of their life, and then they run away, find themselves in the hands of somebody like this, and then all of a sudden drugs are included.
Yes.
And at least there's some way to go numb.
Yes.
And that's like saying, and they're like, wow, I'm free. And
And-
that's not freedom.
And I won't, I'm not going to get into details, but while we're taking life for granted, I mean, we get up in the mornings, we drink our coffee, we go out, we do our shopping, we go to work, and you wouldn't believe what's going on right under your nose. I mean, and people don't realize it. They don't think
So what do you
about
do when you see that? When you suspect it?
it.
Is there a number to call or
There is.
information you should gather
Yes.
that would lead somebody
Yeah.
to the right?
And you could always call 911 if you don't have the
Yes.
number on hand. Call 911 and they will.
And what are the repercussions if you're wrong?
I don't think there are any
There's
repercussions.
not.
There is a multiple task force. We have a task force here in Greene County that just handles trafficking. So I have the numbers of the detective that's head of the human trafficking that's over at here in Missouri. You can report. You can call just your local office and just ask for someone that's head of the trafficking department. We have a lot of organizations here in Springfield. Stand Against Trafficking is one really good organization that does a lot of, and I've been to a lot of their board meetings. Never did I think when I initially started out that was my heart and passion, and the Lord just opened the door for. We can't really see the plans that the Lord has for us. And, I started out, get my the equine therapy in 2014. Of course, I had some healing myself.
That's horse therapy for those of you who don't know.
Yes. For my own addiction. I really didn't know anything about running a home. I knew about addiction and the hurt and pain. And that the only way out was through Jesus Christ. And the healing and the hope that he has for us and for freedom from the bondage of addiction. When we opened our first home, never did I know in 2020 that the Lord would be opening the door for the heart where my vision and my heart was. And that is, a lot of women just in addiction are caught up in prostitution, just many forms of just different things,
or just promiscuity.
Yes, and they don't understand, what it's like to be a righteous woman, a noble woman, and we want to teach those things and how to honor God in our body and how we present ourselves clothed nicely. And represent God. And those are all things that we as women need to learn, how to honor God in those things. And a lot of times the brokenness, that all they know is, the hurt and just things. But we really feel that we're on a new path, new season, especially with the trafficking.
So how do you coach them through that? Say they come to you and they decide, to dress more dress more. What's the word?
We are actually
Conservatively.
Well, then they recognize people are looking at them differently, and that's not something they've experienced before. How do they manage that and say, well, what does this mean? And how do you coach them through that, what to expect and how to grow through it?
We are actually, the church that we are through is called Embassy of Hope. The pastor's wife, Elaine Sims, is fixing to teach a lesson in authentic beauty. And it will be an actual study on how much the Lord loves us. And it's a process because you can't, we're actually dealing with this in our home because we have to take it gentle because we don't want to hurt them. We don't want them to feel judged, but they also need to be shown how much the Lord loves them.
Yeah.
And, dressing, I did it. I'll just use myself as an example. I wore very, very short shorts. My shorts have slits in them where you can actually see physical parts of my body, and I would go to the bar like that. I wear two tops, no things under my, I had no identity. I had insecurities, and I sought that through men, and I used my body to get the attention to have that feel that wasn't felt needed, loved, and it took strong women of God to show me, my mentors to show me how God viewed me.
So it's value.
It is.
Seeing that you're valuable.
Yes.
And when we first met, our first date.
Yes, and he can tell
she
you.
She walked through the door and was wearing what she just said, and I mean, yeah, she was, she was gorgeous. But I later on, as I got to know her, I told her, I said, you don't have to dress like that to catch my eye or to I said, because I said, you look just as beautiful wearing a T-shirt, pair of jeans, and been out in the field working all day. I mean, and we were in Texas, and we was getting ready to go down to this place we was going to, and she was in the bathroom. She came out, and I said, no. I said, you don't need to be wearing that. And she got angry with me.
I was in the healing process.
But she went in, she changed, and we ended up, after we left, we had a good time. And I told her, you don't have to wear that, and so.
And, and him sharing that, it took that through the healing process. Just have that boldness, that stern, just let me know you don't have to do that anymore.
Now, doesn't so it's not really just the woman's part in all of it, but also the man's, or not just women but men as well. So how does a woman coming out of that, finding that she has very high value, even though that's feeling like she has very high, because every man wants her and will go to great lengths to have her. So how does a woman go by having the evidence of her value that men desire her to having evidence of another kind that is equal and feel as valuable? And how do men go from seeing that value in a woman that piques all of their natural instincts and desires, and then all of their body chemistry and all of those feelings that come with it, and how do they go from achieving those same having I don't know if I'm finding the right words, to seeing that same value and desire in a woman who's not as seductive and presenting the same way?
Well, I mean,
is it getting to know each other, or what
I
is it?
seen I seen her heart. I knew that the outside, and I guess it's okay to talk about you, okay?
Yeah,
The outside,
it's my testimony.
from what I seen of her, the way she was dressing, was not coinciding with what was in her heart. I knew her heart. I knew that that woman that she was trying to be was not the woman.
Back.
No. I'll be right back.
All right. But I knew that that was not the woman.
So you knew. Oh, yeah. I hope he's okay. So you saw her heart. You saw who she
Yes.
wanted to be,
Yes.
and
Yes.
she wanted to not be in the bonds of sexual addiction.
Right.
And she wanted to be. I'm sure you had dreams of being.
She wanted to be
a married woman.
Yes,
you know.
a loyal wife.
A loyal wife, a good
And
mom.
through my drinking, of course, I grew up in church. I mean, we all
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
We all did. We chose different paths, but and one day we just sat there, and she actually asked me about, have I ever thought about going to church, and and I told her, my history of church, and I grew up in church, and she knew God, I knew God, and that's whenever, was it 11 years, 10 years ago? Father's
Tomorrow,
Day?
you guys will have been married.
11 years.
So it would have been probably 12 years ago, because you guys dated for quite a while before you got
Yeah.
married.
Yes. And we've had challenges, through the recovery. The enemy doesn't want these doors of the recovery to be open. He doesn't want us helping women that are in captivity to drugs, alcohol, and that is not just
Okay,
our
Larry.
program, but all programs. There is a lot of recovery homes here in Springfield, a lot of faith-based good programs lot of secular recovery, you know, but you know, we have ourselves faced adversity, you know, as a couple being married, and it was all through the recovery, and but you know, if we was to go back to, you know, you know, just
All eyes are on you, Jay.
but
Been passing weeks some kidney stones, and they sometimes can be
Oh,
very suddenly
I've been there.
painful.
and
But we had a girl get baptized last night.
we did.
Where'd you guys baptize her at?
At Embassy of Hope.
Nice.
It was she. If she probably wouldn't mind me sharing a little bit of her testimony. She spent a year in prison. She is was a heroin addict. She and her husband are doing really well. They have 2 children. They are currently, he is residing in Rolla. She lives here in Springfield in our home. And they are actually going to be residing here in Springfield. They are moving down here. We're going to continue aftercare with them. A lot of programs. We want to be a
Yeah, did I meet them
at
at the 4th of July?
yes,
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, they're really cool.
Kayla and Ian.
Yep.
But you know, we've decided that aftercare is very important, and things.
Yeah, absolutely.
To just continue to minister, to help, and
Because the challenges don't get over just because you graduate the program.
correct.
What about so? And I was kind of trying to get at that. Now that's in an actual relationship, but I missed the answer really. But isn't I don't see as Christians, I know that we've found service to God, giving us new purpose and new meaning, like getting up each day and saying, Lord, what's the path you've set before me? Give me the courage to take those steps and to honor you and to serve you today. And you find that you're serving in your community and making a real difference in some people's lives, though it's not always something you get to have this great big value in, but you can actually help a person set their life on a new course. And so finding purpose and meaning and knowing your value before God is really something that can, because I know that we've had moments where we've been as high as we could ever be, knowing that what we were doing was serving God and loving God, and that through that other people were served and other people felt the love of God, and their lives either they were able to stay the course because of our being there, and because of
God
God
using
putting
us.
us there and
Yeah.
using us in those situations, or even change course, you know. So that's my concern for these people, is they're not even knowing that there's purpose and meaning and a way of life that could be as
Fulfilling.
fulfilling. Yeah, because there's it's like 2 sides of a coin. You got the negative and the positive there, and the negative is so negative. But also, even in that, like those, like you were saying, you know, there was a positive that you were getting from the lifestyle that you were living that was extreme, especially when you compare it to the low. It doesn't take much for there to be an extreme. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, I'm just curious about how to help. And forgiveness, you said, is a big key.
Yes.
But also, shouldn't there be justice? Even though we want to forgive, we want people to be forgiven and saved eternally, regardless of their sin, no matter how extreme it is. But at the same time, we have to demand justice.
and I will share.
I believe in forgiveness, but I also believe there should be justice.
And the you know, here on earth, man created justice, and you know, vengeance is mine, says the Lord.
Right.
And He works through man to have that justice. And I will share that. You know, I have been told that 4 of the traffickers have been arrested.
Good.
So, so there is justice. Getting them, you know, to be, for any victim of sexual assault or any type of rape, man or female, getting them to a place where, because the thoughts, they don't know how to take their thoughts captive like the Lord tells us to, and obedient to Him, their thoughts run rabbit to the trauma and the pain that was caused to them. So it causes what we would call triggers. Triggers of social anxiety disorder, PTSD. We are seeing high levels of PTSD, anxiety where they don't even want to go outside the house. We have to watch what we say because it can trigger them. And it triggers their thought process because of that. If you think about all trauma, you have your physical, which is God gave us our flesh and our physical being, but He also gave us our soul. And that the soul and the heart and the mind are all in sync, you know. And when the mind becomes, the heart and the soul become broken, the mind is where we keep all of our thought process, the back part of our brain. So one of the techniques that Spirit Horses, which is the equine therapy, they do a lot with handicap, which is it works on the brain and balance and core. And it teaches the left and the right part of the brain to think, that thinking process. We have learned through touch, you know, if you was to take a female that has been physically abused and take her and you allow her to touch the horse and learn to touch those sensations, to know that horse is safe and going to be okay and she can touch that, she gets the mindset of different thinking. And it's a process. It's very difficult. You know, I am, and being the director, I'll be honest, they don't open up to me as much, but they do open up to other females in the house. I'm able to use where I've been, what I've learned about the Lord, and what He can share and utilize that. And I don't always have to know everything because the Lord knows all.
Right.
And he that's where He quickens our spirit. That's where, when we have the Holy Spirit indwelling in us, that He will, you know, connect with me and give us that discernment.
When there's things that's not going right, I've witnessed it. Things are not going right. She gets the discernment on it, and she'll talk to me about it. And sure enough, everything that she got discernment on is going on.
Right.
And
But that is just building a relationship with the Lord, because He wants us and wants that connection. You know, relationship coming out of any type of addiction, you know, is hard because as women and men, lust is very powerful. And unless we can get our flesh under control, that lust will lead us, you know, down many roads. And that's just an open, you know, that's just.
And it's not just lust for sex either.
No. It could be food. It can be anything. But, you know, we kind of opened up with the do's and don'ts, you know, of recovery. I've learned a lot in this process, and growing, how to be a different person, a different wife. Scott and I both grown in different areas because we got different levels of how we handle things within the recovery, probably just as well as, you know, other programs. But the process is, you know, to be open to whatever the Holy Spirit has to teach us, because we have to have a teachable spirit. We have to have wisdom and knowledge, and be open, because the things you learn. I've learned more about drug cartel and the last 2 years, you know, than I ever have, and we are teaching women, I have started an Sex Addict Anonymous meeting outside of my program, and the women that come to that, we're just seeing an outpouring of just healing, just being able to share, to be able to talk, and know that it's a safe place, and that's the big part of recovery.
How many
knowing-
get to be there, like in the proportions, as far as those who are in recovery and have recovered and have a testimony of hope and of and an actual example of a new life to share with the women who at the time may not even know what a different life would look like? You know what I mean?
Our
How do you proportionately?
our house manager, she graduated. She's been with us a year, and each girl that is there for a certain amount of time has enough time for growing and change through recovery, so they're able to share. And a lot of times we don't have the success in Clean Sweep. They go back out into the world, and then they go into another program and have success. But the Lord has always instilled in me that it's whatever the season is, it's always about planting that seed. They take that seed and they go on.
Well,
And-
and a lot of people too. A lot of the girls too look at me and her, what she's been through, and
Our
I've given my
storm.
testimony, and see how God reached down with His mighty hand and
Yeah.
pulled us back.
Yeah, without him, it wouldn't have made it.
No.
No.
Real quick,
Yes.
would you have something to say, Steve?
Yeah. Hey, Scott.
Pull it up by your mouth.
There we go.
Yes.
Do I
Yeah.
sound good?
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Scott, I wanted to ask you, I think I talked to you, Marcia, about this, or Cindy and I did.
Mhm.
As far as the role reversal, now we're going to talk about the guys. Is there a situation where the guys are also being abused? It's not, we talk about the women and that's important, but on the guys' side, is there an abusive situation? Is it
Yeah,
reversed?
actually there is.
I noticed it like the truck stops and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, a young boy can be taken just as quick as a young girl can.
Because
And
I noticed that this happened last year, I think it was, Branson Landing. There was there was a lot of trafficking
Mike.
actually. There was a lot of trafficking going on. Sorry, man. There's a lot of trafficking going on at the landing, and there were actually girls being taken right out of the mall itself. And then
Yeah.
young boys as well.
there's some
We got
things.
5 minutes.
There's some things that we can't really share on, but after the show,
Mm-hmm.
there's things I want to share with all of you.
Okay.
Real quick, I know this is pretty bad segue, but this show, I mean, they're our sponsor, and they sponsor us to be able to talk and continue to have content like this and like others. Steamy Joe Cafe is a proud sponsor of the show, and that is in Branson. That's at 224 West Main Street. They're in Branson, 417-320-3046. Go in there and check out all the good deals that they've got, the good food, the good fellowship. Sometimes people get on there, piano, and play and sing gospel music, and the whole entire crowd in there sings along. It's crazy how that works. But if you're looking for good, affordable food, family atmosphere, it's almost like, let's say you have a Thanksgiving party. It's big enough for a big family, as far as like it seems like a big family. And now until Friday, we got buy one, get one free piece of pie if you tell them it's the morning drive special. So, Steamy
need-
Joe Cafe.
I need to hurry up and do that before my diet starts.
And that's how I did. So it's 8:46 right now. So we're gonna start winding things down a bit. And yeah, I see where you're coming from there, Steve. Like it seems that people mainly focus on the women that are forced into,
Yeah, women are the
Servitude.
majority.
yeah. But nobody talks about the men. Like I was telling him yesterday, I saw a video, and there was a guy commenting on it. How, there was a guy apparently at a party, and all these girls were trying to get him to lift up his shirt, and he looked And he told them, I don't want to. And they literally ripped his shirt to see his abs. Now, and there was a bunch of girls at this party, and, guys probably think like, oh, that would be awesome. But, it's not. If you're uncomfortable, because guys get uncomfortable about that, the shoe on the other foot shouldn't be a different size. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, yes, the women are the majority, but don't forget about the men that are out there too.
We're seeing a rise in it, in trafficking.
Because nobody takes them seriously.
Yeah,
Right.
young men being.
Well, that's like a woman comes in and says, I've been raped. Okay, they're going to investigate. A man comes in and says, I've been raped. And they're going to be like, I mean, it happens,
Yeah,
It
the body
does.
responds, and it's a nightmare. I don't even like even thinking about it. On either side, women or the men, I just can't imagine.
And I would like to share if anybody knows of anybody that's suffering from addiction, or you see anything out of the ordinary, they could get a hold of one of us through Axe Media, and just if you're afraid,
You could private message it.
Private,
Everything can be
confidentiality.
yep.
And you get that number, too.
As licensed ministers, we have an oath to keep things confidential.
Yes.
Actually, we're required by law
Correct.
to keep it confidential unless you're going to hurt somebody. But and that is something that Axe Media Group strictly enforces with its Axe Ministry strictly enforces with its ministers. It's ordained personnel. So.
And I appreciate you letting us visit a little bit about that, because that's just with our recovery that we're seeing God opening doors.
Yeah.
More for that, and for us just to be able to share a little bit about that, and so we're blessed.
We're loading up our horses tomorrow morning, and we're going on our anniversary.
Yes.
You guys are going horseback riding.
Yes.
And
You're going to ride that wild paint of yours?
We're going to be
Yes.
roughing it. John Wayne would be proud of us because the place we're going has a motel and air conditioning.
Nothing wrong with a motel and air conditioning.
Isn't that where he stayed?
They make air conditionings for tents now, don't they?
Yes. There's
Yeah.
a few
And
people
heat.
talking about that. Yeah. Yes.
So, roughing it. Well, unfortunately,
I was going to say, it's called winter.
yeah, winter definitely is a good,
Air conditioning for a tent.
yeah.
December.
So, let me go ahead and pull up our exit music. And pull it up here. So, I do want to let everybody know that there will not be a show up next because due to unforeseen circumstances, we were unable to get a show recorded for Skylar's Power Hour, but we will be working on that early next week, so that way we'll have another one for you coming up next week. So, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us on the morning drive today. Scott and Marcia, thank you for being on here with us. We really
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
for having us.
Welcome anytime you guys want. We'd like to have you on a regular basis. But remember, if you guys know of anybody that needs help in that aspect, get a hold of us and we'll put you in touch with somebody that can help. All confidential, and you'll be protected. So we'll be back on tomorrow, same time, same channel. So until then, my friends, God bless you and keep you. We love you. My name is Matt.
My name is Jay.
My name's Marcia.
My name's Scott.
And I'm Steve.
And this has been The Morning Drive.